Hello, everyone. Welcome to vFairs Epic Events podcast. Joining me today is someone who's nothing short of a superhero in the events world, Tess Vismale. She's an award-winning event technologist, better known as an event rescuer, with over 25 years experience in live, virtual, and hybrid event production. Tess is the founder and CEO of iSocialExecution, where she jumps in at the 11th hour to save the day with tech support and production expertise. She's also the co-host of the popular event tech pull-up podcast, a voiceover artist, and a fierce advocate for diversity and innovation in events. Whether it's troubleshooting tech or embracing global events, Trex brings in the energy that we all want in the event tech industry. Tess, welcome to the show. I'm so honored to have you here, with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Tess, let's start with iSocialExecution. Tell us a bit more about what you and the team over there do, and how you help customers over there.
Oh, that's a lot to cover, but I will do so. So we really look at the event journey from end to end and see how we can bring value along the way. I've been in the industry for a very long time. I've worked on the academia side. I have clients in the academic space. I have clients in the tech space, association space, and my fellow event profs, right? Helping support them in the initiatives that they're doing. So it's really truly about seeing, what the need is and being able to provide based on the expertise and being able to scale up and down as appropriate for our client. So it ends up being either looking at the plan and seeing how it can help tweak the plan, creating the plan and executing the client, or just specifically executing. So it really depends on what the need is.
Perfect. Tess, again, we'll talk a lot more about event tech and AI, but just before we get started, we was just talking before this podcast, you have been making use of AI within the event tech. As of now, what's your take on how much AI can actually help an event planner in a lot of things that they do? Where have you seen AI actually being used as compared to, let's say, just being a buzzword? I'm just going to say a few things within our industry, purely from a tech company, right? So we have seen AI working a lot in helping us ship code faster. So tools like Lovable and Cursor has helped us, just be better programmers. Similarly, we all know ChatGPT and a lot of other tools, which has helped, a lot of marketing people to generate content, and so forth. If you have to pick up one, two, or three areas where AI have actually helped an event planner, what would those things be, whether it's agenda creation or marketing, just top three things where you feel that AI has helped save hours of an event planner?
Can think of tons of reasons why to use it and how it's helped. Thankfully, I've been able to help educate on the value of AI and what it can do for overall humans, and then overall what we can do as event professionals. And I say it's not just one, two, or three, it's every aspect of the event journey. If it's helping you choose your speakers and narrow down what that looks like, if it's helping create themes, looking at what have you done over the last 3 to 5 years, your attendees have been asking for X, Y, and Z. Let's look at that data and upload that data into your tool of choice. And I can mention all kinds of tools. If you want me to, I can. Or if not, you want me to just talk in general, I can. But tool of choice, and have it analyze that data and bring to the top of mind and rank where what are my attendings saying that they want. Let me see how I can deliver that. It can help with contract reviews, looking at clauses, saying, where are those stop gaps? What am I missing here, right? As an independent planner, right, I might have the ability to have an attorney on call at my beck and call to help me review contracts, but I'm constantly producing events, and it can actually help pull out the things that you need. So again, I call it the tool in your pocket, your hip pocket, or your best friend or your personal assistant, to help rise things to the top so that you can be a better critical thinker around the journey of producing your event. So it's plenty of things, I could go on forever and ever, but it has, and it's been proven. I had a woman in one of my classes when I was teaching. She said it saved her 3 weeks worth of work. So,
Amazing.
so days,
Amazing.
hours, weeks.
Perfect. And Tess, feel free to mention any vendor name, whether it's competition,
Okay.
etc. So the goal
Okay.
is to really help event planners up. For us, this podcast is together. We are there to serve the event community journey, even if it's with vFairs or even if it's a competitor. So folks, feel free to
Okay.
just be
No,
natural.
no
Um,
problem. No
uh,
problem.
yes, let's go through the event journey, right? So again, when we are working with our customers, it starts with the event website, right? Just event website, event reg form, and so forth. So I saw that you're known as an event rescuer. So just walk us through the journey when it comes to the event tech, where you feel that just you as an event rescuer is needed the most. Is it at the reg form level? Is it at the on-site where badges are being printed and so forth? Because that's always a very like tricky hour that what, okay, when everything has to work fine and so forth. Or is it during the event with the mobile app and so forth? So just walk us through the journey of where you feel things are just one has to be just a lot more vigilant, or just have to think about it just thoroughly, because sometimes things at this part can go wrong, whether it's reg, mobile app, badge printing, and so forth.
No problem. I think it has historically been at every part of the journey. However, in recent time, thank goodness for our 2020 experience, right, which made people embrace technology more in our industry. We've been harping on it for so long, trying to educate, teach, push the envelope for so long, and then it was just like, okay, we don't have a choice now, right? So the awareness was there. So people are more accustomed to picking up the tools, right? So now I think it's been more of, in the beginning process, trying to choose the correct product to solve the challenge that they're trying to solve, as opposed to looking at it more about a one size fits all, because we know there are no true all in ones that exist on the planet. That's not true. You should be looking at your pain point and figure out what is going to be best for you, your attendees, your stakeholders, and what you're trying to do with registration. And then what tool are you going to use to do that? And that should help drill things down to your top five or so to get to your top three, then begin to do your demos. So I think it's mostly at that point and then the execution. Because fortunate or unfortunately, planners are faced with so much rigor around having to almost rinse and repeat events oftentimes, and moving so fast that they can't even execute properly. They just keep planning, and then they're relying on their vendors to execute, but they don't oftentimes think about there might be someone or some people with and reach of you who can help see your plan through, to help relieve you of that time, those times when you need to print all these badges. The tech is not actually working. They are, some data is not there. They don't want doctor on their name badge, right? They just need it. Or you know what? That middle initial has to be a certain kind of way. I've worked with a lot of healthcare vendors, and it's just depending on which group is how that attendee wants it, especially high touch events. It needs to be done a certain type of way. And who's going to catch that sort of detail when you have reiterated 110 events in 10 months, right? And you are really planning, cranking them out, but you can't necessarily work with that fine detail as you need to. So I think at those 2 points are where those stress level of points is. Executing it and choosing the tech that's best are the places.
I ask this question to a lot of people, but I think you made a really good point, which is after COVID, just people have become far better in making use of technology when they were before COVID. Again, I always knew that, but no one ever said it like out loud. And once you have said it, it just brings so much clarity on how customers were. How customers were with the vendors before COVID and after COVID. After COVID, just everyone has become a lot more just, I think, better and smarter in trying to find the right vendor. So great point on that one. Tess, just what's your take on the reg forms, right? So again, I asked this question to a lot of people. Are you more fan of just small forms? First name, last name, email, and make the payment and then capture the details later on, or are you of the opinion that let's capture everything that is required from an attendee in that one big long form, or multi-step forms, so that we can better serve that customer by knowing what they're looking for, by collecting a lot of that information. So short form, long form, what's your take?
Oh, why you asked me that one? I want to blow up registration in general, right? I just want the entire thing to be blown up and
Yeah.
reimagine a different way. I have a group of friends who, kind of specialize in registration, and we're always talking about how can this be better? Why is it done the same exact way over and over again? But then on the other flip side of things, if you're actually really truly um, crafting and designing your events to your attendees, then you should be able to utilize an AI tool or some tool to help um, personalize it for you, right? Then, therefore, be able to automate the information. Why is it that you have all this data from your past attendees of all these years? Why can't it come in pre populated
Yeah.
and ask them, is this correct? And then I don't think I don't think first name, last name, email address is enough for certain types of event. Yeah, maybe a reception, right? Quick, dirty, right? But for an entire conference or where you're actually educating and you're doing more extensive types of content, you need to get some information that will help you customize it. So I think it should be a little of both. And I think we should reimagine what that looks like. Ask the attendees. You know what?
Yeah.
This has been how we done registration for so long.
Mhm.
What would you like to do? How would you like to get this information? But I think what pisses off attendees the most is that you've asked me this 100 times before. I've given it to you. Why can't you pre-populate and let me review it, see if it's right, and move on? And that doesn't take long at all.
Love it. No, I agree. And this reminds me, I asked someone a different question, which was, what's that one question that you love the most in the reg form, or what you want to be asked? And that was, okay, what do you want? How do you what do you want from this conference so that we can serve you better during the conference? But you're right, like even before that, the question comes up, how do you want the registration form to be? And again,
Right.
yeah, no,
Exactly. Why can't you use that as a marketing tool, right? When you're pre-event, right?
yeah,
When you're leading up to, when you're launching it. We're in the planning process or even at the end of the event asking, next year we want this better and we want to blow up registration. How could you reimagine registration? Help us do this. People will tell you 100 times. When they're mad, they'll tell you everything, and you can glean really good jewels for that. Or even if they're happy, you should be able to, in that moment, utilize the energy that has been in the room to garner that information from them. Or maybe right at the end of a session, just throw it up on the screen and see and use a tool to capture that data and information. So there are all kinds of ways we can do it, but that's just one thing that we don't think about doing is blowing up registration. Let's just blow it up.
sure, yeah, no, love it. Which brings it to my next question, and again, I want to get your take on it. I've been talking to a lot of people on this podcast, and everyone has been saying that ticket sales have been slow all the way leading up to the event. And it's really the last, I don't know, 3 weeks or 4 weeks. That's where, when 50% of all the tickets have been sold. And I
Mm-hmm.
cannot imagine, just as an event planner, for example, if you have, I don't know, if you're running an event for 500 people, only 250 people have signed up just a month before the event, and you don't know what will happen over the next 3 to 4 weeks. So first of all, are you seeing the same trend as well, which is the tickets are being purchased more towards the last set of weeks as compared to people used to benefit from the early bird discount a lot more before, 70, 60, 70, 80% of the tickets were sold for that early bird ticket price. And then, you only have to worry about 20, 25% later on. So what are you seeing in the industry? And then B, do you have any secret tips to have people sign up early, and not wait till the last 1 month?
Yes, I totally am seeing that a great deal around people closer to making decisions for various different reasons. That has been happening, I would say since 2020, because the mind shift is different around it. I'm choosing my life is different. So my work-life balance shifted, let's say in 2020. So my priorities are different. Maybe I need to catch it in a virtual setting versus face-to-face. Maybe from a budgetary standpoint, I can attend, but I have to attend differently, right? Or I can only come in at a certain, or budgets haven't been approved yet. Various different reasons, from a business perspective and a personal perspective of what goes on in the attendee's mind. Now, fast forward to now, present day, I think it's worse and it's only going to get worse around that. So we need to have more contingency plans because, you know, quite frankly, our economy, our system, everything that's going on in present day, We don't know from one day to the next what is happening, which should be pushing event professionals to think differently around contingency plans and what risks they're willing to take. And it may even require, when you talk about tips, I shouldn't say may, but should even require us to actually communicate with those potential attendees more than before. So if I know that they're going to be waiting, even let's say the younger Gen Alpha, X, all of the younger generations that per se, they like quick decisions. They make last minute decisions anyway. So you got that compounded with just the rest of the world, right? So it's going to be extra. Why am I not talking to you more about, what are you thinking about? Are you considering coming to the conference? If so, what kinds of things can I provide for you to help you make your decision even quicker? Right? What is going on? Because if I don't have a pulse of what's going on, and I just assume, oh, they're just about to wait, and I see them all coming through, that's still not going to help you for next year. That's still not going to help your stress levels go down. So to me, I think that the tip is to communicate more in ways that are different, to get different types of conversations out about your potential attendees and then your regulars, as well as to what's happening, to help inform the decisions you need to make along the way. And I know it's a challenge. People are going to say, I don't have any time for that. I don't have time for that. I could barely do X, Y, Z. But if you don't do the things that I'm saying around communicating, because all I'm talking about is pure communication, which we're not great at, you're going to suffer. But there are tools to help you with that. You don't have to just do it as a one-off. Utilize AI to do that. Help you come up with questions that are thought-provoking for those different types of audience segments, and decide what that is, and think of ways in which you can communicate with them. I think that you would be better off to know that funds are not about to be released for this until 2 weeks out from the event, just based on the regulatory things that are happening and going on in government. Or, I'm just giving you just an example. I have a girlfriend, for instance. This is true. This happened to me. She worked for the State Department, and she was supposed to do an international trip to Switzerland last week. I was supposed to stay with her, and she didn't necessarily. She said, "Tess, I'm not going because they said we can't go." A week late, I booked my ticket. A week later, she's like, yeah, well, some of them they're approving, some of them not. So I really don't know right now. Yeah. Then she says in the next week after that, she says, well, right now, some people are on their way to the airport, and then they find out they can't go. I'm like, okay, so I don't know how to do this. So what goes on in a situation like that? If she was going to a conference in Switzerland, right? So that event professional is not knowing, and they've probably already, I know, guaranteed, probably already paid for it. And you don't even know if you're able to go or not. So there are all kinds of variables that are happening and going on that we have to think about humanity first, I think, and think about these as people and not just slots at our events, and communicate better and more often in ways that are not a nuance like salesy, but more informational and relationship building. So is that helpful? I know that was long, but
that is extremely helpful. And you have said a lot of things that not many people are I think sometimes brave enough to say. But I'm just going to reiterate but just high level. Given the economy and given the situation, things are becoming even more harder for event professionals. International travel, in or out to the US is something that everyone is just thinking twice. So basically, the best we all have to do at this point is just to communicate and communicate often. And it is not about sales. It is just really knowing about the situation that we all are in and how we can help each other. So thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah. Oh, no problem. And see, and you touched on an interesting point is let me see, how can I say this? As event professionals, we're A-type personalities. So a good bit of us are rule followers and think about decorum very often, right? Because that's a part of plan. Things should be a certain way. But we can't afford for things to be a certain way. We have to speak about it. We can't just go on acting like nothing is happening and going on, because there are major things that are happening to our fellow event profs that we possibly could be supportive to. Are there event professionals who they're both doing similar type of events? Could they do them together? Could they share techniques? we've got to think outside the box. We don't have any choice. We cannot stay as rigid to how we did things before. And like I said, blow up registration, blow it all up for the success and the survival of our industry.
Exactly. And unfortunately, when things get tough in the economy, the first one to suffer are the event professionals and the events in general, because that's just easy to cut, right? You can, oh, like, let's do one less event, or let's do three less events, or let's spend less money on events.
Mhm.
Um, Perfect. So assuming, again, we went through the reg form, we went through, of course, how to get people to, just purchase ticket and so forth. We are in the event itself. Just your take on what are some of like your three top venues of running events? Like, and again, you have been running events for 25 years. I'm sure you have been to, I know, hundreds of cities, multiple states, many countries. But if you have to pick two, three top locations to run events, what have those been?
You know that's too general for me. That's too general. So you got to give me type of event. You got to give me
No, no,
type of venues.
I think just something that reminds you of, again, sometimes it might be, okay, this is like the very first time I went to Ireland and it was beautiful. Or, again, we all
Yeah.
love Vegas because Vegas allows you to run, I know, the most fancy events ever. But what are some of those two, three locations that helps you just run great events? Yeah.
It's so funny. This might sound really weird, but I used to work at the Atlanta Botanical Garden. And on so that's, venue management side, right? So that's managing the events as I came in. And I just thought that the setting is always beautiful and you could run a really, really great experiential event with chefs. We used to do them all the time, but I didn't see enough conferences utilizing it as an opportunity for a different type of experience for their attendees. So not that I'd seen it, I've seen um, more from the standpoint of these are one-offs or a group of people got together to do it, but not as event professionals coming in to utilize it. So I think those are really great because we had an outdoor kitchen. Able to the journey you took to the outdoor kitchen was absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. So I think the what I call unique venues, because when I used to be a member of this group called Unique Venues, and they used to actually help represent them because I manage a conference center at Atlanta Tech, and it's different when you're holding a conference at a college, right, and or university, right, that those kind of venues, or a museum or a botanical garden versus a hotel. So I think the unique venues are the ones that I love the actual most because you have a natural, even if you're not creative, the background of where the event, the venue you're choosing naturally gives you that creativity, and then you can kind of expound for that. And normally I have found the price points better at unique venues versus some of our hotel partners and the traditional convention centers and the like. I know everyone can't do that, but what is going to actually happen, which is what I was trying to communicate to people back in 2020 during our COVID times, is you got to look regional and local. Regional and local and blended audiences experiences are the only things that will keep us surviving during tumultuous times, right? It's our local venues. It's those unique things that we can actually create within our reach, don't cost as much, right? But give you more of a bang. And then making it more of like when I say blended audiences, that's my term for hybrid. But why can't I have a central location where the event, let's say if you mentioned Vegas, right? It's going to happen in Vegas. It always happens in Vegas. But then I'm creating satellite experiences in Chicago or in Oklahoma or in New Mexico, where those people within 300 to 400 mile radius can come to and still be educated and still get to know each other in those regional areas, but they don't have to fly into Vegas to do that because let's just say their budgets won't allow it, but I'm giving you a different alternative to still get the content I'm producing, right? So those are the types of things I talked about many years ago, which I think our event professionals should lean on more. And I think, something like vFairs and the like, I think that will support those platforms the best, right?
Perfect. And that's and again, I think a lot of people are now also leaning towards it. a lot of people mention that sometimes picking a kind of a tier 2 city has been a lot more cost effective, and it's something that people haven't tried out. So you don't always have to go to San Francisco or Vegas or Austin all the time. Just picking, like
Yep.
just
2
second
and
layer.
3.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it
Absolutely.
saves you cost and it excites people to try out, go to a different city, try a different venue. So
Exactly.
that sometimes
Exactly.
act as even, again, it helps with ticket sales and everything else also. So this is more on the venue side, but let's assume that you are now an attendee and you attend a lot of events, conferences itself. And again, we all know IMAX and BizBash and Event Tech Lab and so forth. So within the events industry, what are the top 3 events that you personally like to attend as an attendee?
Oh, that's a challenge. Let's see. I absolutely love Incentive Live North Stars event. They do it very well. And I like small market meetings as well. So, because they focus on small markets, right? And, I'm kind of biased with Convention South because I was on the advisory board for a while, but Convention South produces events as well. So everyone, I like the local things and more the regional ones,
Mhm.
because they're paying a lot more attention to what the attendee is experiencing, and really getting a sense and a feel of, and I'm speaking as an event professional going to industry events specifically, around what needs to be done, and it gives you a different take on, like you said, what those markets are. I've been to New Mexico in recent times. I've done Anchorage in a recent time. A few others. I have a couple others that are coming up in, like, Branson. No one goes to Branson. No one thinks about Branson. I've done my vacation to Branson before, but I've never looked at it in terms of a meeting. Again, that those jewels of places that are in the US and or outside the US that people don't think about. So I kind of like those. So North Star, and I like small market meetings.
Nice. And when you're there as an attendee, or like whether these are industry conferences or any other ones, what's your take on swags? You go to these exhibitors. They spend a lot of money in building up their booth, their stand, and they have all of these fancy swags. What's your take on that?
um, I want to blow that up too. Can we blow that one up too? May I have permission for that one?
You can.
I don't. I think the best ones are gifting suites, because it's a variety of things that people can choose what they want from. So if you don't have the budget to create a gifting suite, not a problem. Then why don't you ask the crowd the types of things they want and provide those things for them to choose to get, versus you're slamming everyone with a water bottle, you're slamming everyone with this bag that they're not going to use, or these t-shirts that they're not going to use anymore. So either ask, which would be nice, or try to do it, or think about things like print on demand, right? Why don't you allow the people to choose what the swag that they want prior to coming, then they get what they've chosen shipped to them, or if it's not shipped to them, it's not cost effective, then just bring it on site, and then you have groups of things that you are able to give them, and then people get exactly what they want, and have them choose to have the logo on it and or not.
Nice.
Is that helpful?
Because no, that is helpful, and I think once we're done with this with this podcast, I'm going to ask you just how to make some of those things happen. Because, for example, even we go as an exhibitor to a lot of conferences. We would love for people to tell us what they want, but then we don't have access to those attendees list, right? Because you cannot, you don't have that option of who will actually come to your booth and so forth. So I'll ask you some of the tips just after this call as well. What's that favorite swag that you still remember? Like, what has been a favorite swag that you have got in any of these conferences?
Oh, practical ones. So I was trying to see if there was one around here. So I have glasses, and I am a hate for them to be dirty. So cleaning my glasses, easy.
Mhm.
Easy thing. Easy thing. I keep them. I put them all around because I need them. I
Yep.
don't need another water bottle. I need water bottle on site, but I don't necessarily need another water bottle at home,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So I think the things that people can reuse over and over again are cool, but I like that. I'd be able to wipe my glasses and keep them clean. And the good kind, not the kind that's not good. That, and then this, charging banks. I know it's hard
Yep.
to see, but
Yeah.
charging
Yeah.
banks.
Yeah,
And
they're all they're always there.
the kind that don't require power.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
I
No,
think those are the most practical that people are like, oh my gosh, give it to me. I'd
I
love
love
to have
those.
it.
I love those, and personally, I also then love something that I can bring back for my daughters, because they're always like, "What did you get for me?" You know. So if there's something that I can give it to my daughters, they're just one less trip to a shop at the airport. You know, where I have to get something for the kids. So that's
Yeah.
me.
I will tell you this one unique one that I haven't tried yet, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And I was like, why didn't more people do this? But it was a little clear bag,
Mhm.
plastic clear bag, and it was small enough to hold like a wine bottle or like a tall bottle in it, and you put ice in it, and it cools the bottle. So it doesn't matter what bottle you have in it, but it's a little, and it has a logo on it.
Yep.
But I always thought it was amazing because look, everyone wants cold something at some point, so you can reuse that at any point in time. So I thought that was
Yep.
cute.
That's unique and different. Yeah. You know, and again, in this world, like doing something different is, um, given the situation, given the economy situation, given everything is. Are you seeing uprise in virtual events? So again, we of course do virtual events, in-person events, hybrid events, and so forth. Of course, we grew a lot with the virtual stuff during COVID days. Then after that, we grew a lot because of the in-person stuff. We're seeing great just comeback of virtual events. You know, for the last couple of months in particular. What's your take on that one?
Absolutely. I've been a proponent of blended audiences since the beginning of time. I was lucky enough to get my certification DES in 2013 in the first class. So I've always been focused on how you choosing to deliver your content. It can be
Mhm.
done various different ways. It's just content. Choose what works. But during slightly after 2020, when people were coming back into face to face, right?
Mhm.
I was mortified, I should say that, right? Mortified at the numbers of event professionals who felt like, oh, we're going back. I'm so glad we're going back, and try to erase that. I was like, that's not what we taught you. That's not what we said. We said you're supposed to choose how you're delivering the content you need to deliver as what's best for the time, the moment, and the audience and the stakeholders. So if you're choosing to do face to face only, that I'm hoping that was the decision based on the need, not because you were tired and you didn't feel like doing it. Right? No, I think blended audiences to stay through the beginning at a time, and it's coming back again because of the economy and the things that you just don't know. Sample I just gave you. Now, she would have to then join that conference in Switzerland virtually because maybe she can't go physically, but you still approved for the content, right?
Yep.
You're going to have to think about ways again to dig deep down into what those companies are that can provide those services for you, because you just don't know. And how in the world can we be hospitable in the hospitality industry and cut out an entire segment who accessibility needs to be number one, top A number one, right? Those
Yep.
people who cannot travel, those people who can only, so that you just want to cut out an entire segment. I'm sorry, I feel passionate about that.
No,
I
no,
just don't, I think it's irresponsible, and I don't think people should call themselves event professionals in a hospitality industry if you can't be hospitable and be inclusive to all of the type of attendees that you have.
and again, see, in our case, other than the in-person virtual, I'll take accessibility to the next level. One of the things where at least some of a portion of our customer base just absolutely love us is because of the actual accessibility of the tech platform itself, not just because of the virtual in-person, but then people who are using it, can they actually fully use it or not? And
Mhm.
and not just many event tech companies pay a lot of attention to that. And like for me, it's really about, you want to serve all of your customer base, even if it's just you know 20 of them or 30 of them, etc. You want to make sure that experience is just the best experience for everyone, whether it's in person, virtual, or in any other format. Yes, you're again 3 years, 5 years from now. Again, you're an event planner yourself. You're a teacher. You teach a lot of people about AI, about events. Where you run workshops. Where do you see this industry going? Where do you see this industry growing and flourishing, and more people trying to come in it, or because of the stress and everything else, you think that it's a hard profession where not when people are excited about it. Then you have AI into the picture as well. Will AI, I don't know, cut jobs? Will AI bring in more jobs just because events will become easier to run? What's your take on, how AI will change, an events industry will change over the next 3 to 5 years?
I think it's twofold. Number one, if we continue to make the mistakes we made before, prior to COVID, we didn't embrace technology like we kept trying to tell people they needed to. To me, that is the quintessential reason why our entire industry collapsed in 2020. Not like others went down, kind of sustained, but we collapsed is because we didn't iterate fast enough. We didn't embrace it, right? So if as we're going through this new future that we have no way of predicting what's going to happen next. Absolutely. There are no experts on that piece.
Yep.
Right. I don't think history is dictating what's going on right now in moment by moment. We can't look at that and say this is how we're going to be able to predict. I think it's being nimble and being flexible is what we're going to have to do. And if we choose to do that and shift our mindset and be a little bit more open during these times, I think yes, AI is going to be 100% of our entire world. Talking event world, 100% of our entire world, and then we should be utilizing it as a tool for our higher brain so that we should be able to, like I said, think critically, use that 11-12% of our brain, start pushing that envelope and allow it to automate and take on mundane tasks, allow us to strength to utilize portions of the brain we hadn't before so we can again think more critical about it. All of those ideas that we used to say that we wish we could do, now we can utilize it to have a roadmap to move us forward and act upon it, right? So if we do that, I am 100% sure we'll be very successful. If we do not do that and we still are holding on to old thought processes and the old way of what we were doing, then we're going to collapse again with what's going on in the economy right now. So it just really truly depends. And within that, I hate to say it, I have seen and heard stories in the last 3 months of people losing their jobs because they refuse to take on new tech. So,
Yep. I love it. I think flexibility, I agree, is a key. Then embracing technology is another one. And I also agree that, see, my personal point of view on this one is that with the rise of AI, which we should definitely, adopt and, make use of, events are becoming even more important because, that's the most human thing that you can experience in today's world, which is going to an event and meeting with Tess and other people just in person or virtually, having this way of communication. Because with AI, you can, I don't automate a lot of stuff, but what we cannot automate is a relationship, and for that, you need to meet with people, and events just bring in those people together. So for me, I'm of the opinion that, the AI can help, and again, we all have to work hard towards it, events industry to grow really, really well, just because people would crave for those experiences that only events can bring in. For me, I'm super bullish on this one. Assuming we remain flexible, we make use of technology, we help each other, because it's not going to be easy to kind of achieve that end outcome that can be there if we work hard towards it.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully with that, we can do what I was mentioning before is which I meant before, which is step outside of competition, right? We have to put that down, right? We have to say, well, but how I have this, you have that, let's work together.
Absolutely.
And it's really back to that. And that's where survival takes place, right? We need to think about surviving versus competition.
Tess, it was great talking to you. How can people follow you, connect you, learn more about you? If they have to reach out to you, what's the best way to connect with you?
So on LinkedIn, I'm Tess Vismale on LinkedIn. My event tech podcast is called the Event Tech Pull Up, and I have a co-host named Keith Johnston, and we just try to make things fun and exciting. So we have a website, we've got YouTube, we've got all the things, but LinkedIn is probably the best and the easiest way for me to communicate.
Thank you so much, Tess. Again, as you, I learned about a lot more from you about just what's happening in the economy, events in general. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you everyone for listening in. Again, you guys can download vFairs Epic Events podcast. Over there, you can follow us on LinkedIn, or you can follow us on any of the app stores. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. We'll see you for the next show. Thank you, Tess.